Hey, everybody. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday. 2 weeks in a row, I'm going to talk about something that I would consider very safety specific, and it also involves ongoing change. So last week, I talked about kind of the transition from traditional hard hats towards chin strap helmets. This week, I want to talk a little bit about the changes in drug testing. Now, first thing is disclaimer, I'm not an expert on all the different laws related to drug testing. And you got to keep in mind that these are statutory, which means state law. And every state probably has different laws. So you have to make sure you comply with those laws. But the big reason that we're seeing changes in drug testing requirements, it's being driven through the regulatory agencies, primarily triggered by the legalization of marijuana. So the first thing I would say is this: when we look at the panels of drugs that are tested in a drug test, and there are different types of drug tests, urine drug test, hair follicle drug test. There are different ways that people can be tested for drugs, many different methods. The most common is a urine-based drug test. And it could be a 5 panel all the way up to either 10 or 12. I can't remember if they're 12 or if it's 10, but it's testing for different panels. So opiates, barbiturates, different marijuana, different types of drugs. And a lot of the drugs that are tested, things like methamphetamines and heroin and cocaine, a lot of those drugs are what you consider water soluble, meaning that they don't tend to deposit in your body fat. Therefore, it isn't unreasonable to say that somebody can use those drugs, let's just say on a Friday, and drink plenty of water over the weekend and potentially pass a drug test Monday or Tuesday. Now, with the use of marijuana, the challenge that we have is that THC, the drug from marijuana, tends to deposit in fat. It's a fat soluble as opposed to a water soluble drug. So it will deposit and it will register in your urine for, depending on how often or how much you use it, for up to 30 days. And you may have a daily user and they stop, and really they would need probably a good 30-day window to make sure that they're going to pass a drug test. But one of the challenges that we have with drug testing currently, and this is changing rapidly, is that if we drug test somebody and those panels indicate that there's a positive, then there's a high probability that that drug was used recently. With marijuana, that's not the case. Somebody may not have used marijuana for a couple of weeks, but yet they come up positive on their drug test. And that's, again, because of the deposit. They're fat soluble and they deposit. So ultimately, what we need is we need a drug test that can determine how recently somebody utilized marijuana. But what we're seeing is that many of the states are basically making it illegal to drug test for marijuana. And, somebody were to use marijuana on the way into work and they're high at work, that could be a major problem. So what we're seeing and how we've built policy is jobs that are considered safety sensitive, meaning there are risks in the workplace. I would say what I'm doing here, sitting at the desk, is not a safety sensitive job. But the second I put my hard hat on, I walk out to a job site or out on the manufacturing floor, I'm now in a safety sensitive environment. So if you can justify that certain positions are safety sensitive, and again, look at statutory law, I'm basing this on Washington, California, and some of the others, then I can drug test for marijuana. For many years, up in Canada, you couldn't drug test unless it was safety sensitive in nature. And I kind of think that we're heading that way here in the US. But it's important that we review our policies and we make sure that they're compliant. And if we are drug testing in states where marijuana has been legalized, that we make sure that it's legal to do so. And again, oftentimes it's based on the safety sensitivity of a job. If it's not safety sensitive, then it'll be outlawed in many cases. So it's important to take a look at that. Make sure your policies are up to date. Whoever you use to perform your drug testing, whoever your medical review officer is or organization, they should be able to educate you on this. They should be able to guide and assist you. And they may even be able to provide you a sample policy. But ultimately, this is an important topic. I know it's a topic of huge concern to safety professionals because, again, outlawing the testing for marijuana and then having people using it on the way into work and potentially being high on drugs when they come to work it's a significant concern for us. So hopefully that's helpful. And again, I don't want to get into the weeds too much around specifics in drug testing, but it's time that we pay attention to this and that we keep up with all the changes that are coming. We'll see you next Wednesday.